The element of inner peace is considered a condition of bodily and spiritual tranquility. Finding peace of mind entails finding happiness, satisfaction, and bliss, regardless of how difficult life may be. Inner peace, or peace of mind, takes place when people can keep their thoughts in an organized manner. It happens irrespective of the challenges in their surroundings. Inner peace is a conscious state of spiritual or psychological tranquility. It is in spite of the existence of pressures, such as the burden of imitating one people idolize. Many people have a belief that being at peace is good for both mental and physical health. It is a state in which human minds work best with a satisfying outcome. Thus, happiness, pleasure, and satisfaction are commonly connected with inner or mental peace. Spirituality, a consequence of inner peace, is a process that may be accomplished in small steps. There are several methods of embracing spiritualism with each passing day. What is inner peace? Internal or spiritual peace, as well as adequate knowledge and insight to keep oneself peaceful in the face of seemingly disharmony or stress, is defined as inner or psychological peace, peace of mind. Numerous people believe that being internally at peace is a desirable mental state, or homeostasis, and that it is the polar opposite of feeling stressed, emotionally disturbed, or unstable. The psychological or internal goal of peace of mind is typically equated with ecstasy and satisfaction in the styles of meditation. A disposition devoid of the consequences of stress is described by words like peace of mind, tranquility, and calmness. Inner peace is thought to be a state of enlightenment that can be achieved through different forms of meditation, prayer, yoga, or other mental or physical exercises in some meditative cultures. Several of these disciplines refer to this serenity as a sense of self-awareness. Traditional Buddhist, Hindu, and some contemporary Christian contemplative practices, such as monasticism and the New Age movement, place a strong focus on discovering inner self-peace. Aggression against a person or personal property, according to the non-aggression principle, NAP, has always been an immoral infringement of one's life and liberty. The concept of non-aggression is also broken when people use deception rather than consent to attain their goals. As a result, molestation, murder, fraud, coercive taxation, government regulation, and other actions that instigate violence against relatively peaceful citizens are regarded as violations of the non-aggression principle. Libertarians are the most common adherents to this philosophy. Brilliant ideas don't require pressure is a frequent introductory part of this theory. In the field of peace studies, which deals with de-escalation, conflict transformation, cessation of violence, and disarmament, there are several distinct interpretations of peace. Meaning of peace varies depending on one's faith, culture, or field of study. Is there a term called inner peace? What does inner peace necessarily involve? It is a critical question, since knowing what people seek increases their chances of finding inner peace. They will have exposure to true peace, virtual inner peace, when they establish a definition that is genuine, practical, and applicable in every walk of life. One should be realistic when it comes to inner calmness. It doesn't imply he is cut off from the rest of the world, happily meditating on mountainside seclusion. He looks for a term that he can use in his day-to-day life. Isn't it true, though, that peace must be fully functional? Human reality is full of obstacles, and those barriers aren't going away anytime soon. People can, however, face them, which provides them a clue. When confronted with their issues, people may experience stress, fear, despair, or any other emotional response. They have the option of being conscious of their emotional reaction. They have to be aware of their emotional response. Peace is not the all-encompassing happiness that many people view it to be. The inner serenity that lasts is vibrant and dynamic. Peace coexists alongside this world. Tranquility is the ability to be awake in any situation while also being present in human response. One may consider the following scenario. What effect would the sound of a lawnmower outside have on residents' inner awareness if they are focused on his work? Is the noise bothersome? It is, in fact, somewhat irritating. Is the noise, however, keeping one away from working? Although noise is a challenge, it doesn't stop anyone from working. But in this case, what is blocking the insiders from finding inner peace? The harsh noise of the lawnmower is not the most important factor determining the resident's inner state. Yes, the nagging sound is a little annoying, but it isn't too distracting. So what is the concern if the sound isn't the major issue? The inner voice is complaining about the inconvenience of the sound of the lawnmower. It insists that insiders cannot work until the sound disappears. Once people realize their inner self-talk, they are one step closer to finding inner peace. The inner voice is automatically communicative. It is always making observations about the ground reality. Some self-talk is beneficial, but a lot of it is simply the human ego's reflexive responses. These emotional responses are especially damaging. Understanding how to adapt to inner self-talk necessitates some knowledge of being focused. The attentive person is always aware of its self-talk. They don't deny their inner dialogue, but they also don't give in. Being ready to listen to self-talk has a distinct power. It's like this. When people concentrate without getting caught up in words, the inner voice seems satisfied that they have heard the basic concerns. How to find inner peace. The road to attaining inner peace is not easy or simple. People can't just wake up one fine morning and proclaim that they will experience inner peace from now on. It's a continual process, a prolonged journey that should be relished each step of the way. People must be prepared to discard and accept the whole range of their feelings. They should be willing to walk beyond the line they have drawn to be placed in and start afresh. They should learn about their mistakes and rectify them with time. Most importantly, they must recognize that they are the only people who have control over their emotional responses and emotions. People frequently have a fictitious sensation of inner peace. It is exemplified by the phrase, "A ship is secure in harbor, but it's not what a vessel is meant for." If people enjoy their life in the harbor and never venture outside of their comfort zone, they deceive themselves into thinking they have inner peace. On the way to learning to recognize one through the congregation of people and their experiences, one should be willing to undertake widespread emotions and confront certain natural hurdles. Getting rid of emotional stuff. Everyone carries a specific amount of emotional burden with them at all times. Seeking inner peace is all about getting rid of the baggage so people may feel refreshed, healthy, bright, free, and maybe even liberated one day. What does it mean to have an emotional burden or baggage? Guilt for past deeds, judgments against others, being victimized, being bullied, mistaken views about self and others, anxieties, and body language issues are just a few examples. Genetics and socialization make each person distinct. When people imbibe distinct life experiences, they come across multifaceted individuals who bounce off one another in all directions, sometimes positively, sometimes negatively. Taking the ship out of the harbor and connecting with other sailors in the mid-ocean is the key to resolving the existing and upcoming problems. It is an important aspect of self-discovery. If there is one thing one should remember throughout his entire life on this planet, it is this: whatever people observe in others, they should have those attributes in them as well. Besides, whatever judgment they pass on others should be true about them too. It's valid for both positive and negative things people are aware of. If individuals react angrily to someone who is crying, showing no compassion for their predicament, It's possible that those people are upset with themselves when they are unhappy. One will not accept something else in others if one refuses to accept it in himself. Once people have opened their hearts to the truth, there is no turning back. The concept is simple. If individuals don't have the feeling, line of thinking, attribute, or attitude that they expect from others, they won't identify it in themselves. One may watch someone make a face, and because he gives the same look when he consumes something bitter, he assumes all are likewise having a terrible experience. However, it is not the case. Instead, this judgment emerges from human minds like a reflection of self-experiences, ready to play in any setting, and people are completely unaware of it. Through awareness of their flaws and shortcomings, individuals should use their interactions to improve themselves and develop compassion for others. Controlling emotional stuff. To obtain inner peace, people must exercise control. It is the power that impacts anybody and everything in life, even life itself. Giving someone else authority over individual feelings is something one can't do if he wants peace of mind. When people strive to control someone, they are eventually controlled by him. If they think they need to watch someone's every step, or have them on the radar all the time, they are limiting themselves to the same thing. People must learn to trust and let go of apprehensions. Apprehension has been used in a range of circumstances for different reasons. It is an adrenaline reaction to a situation in which people instinctively feel compelled to escape. Fear does not always relate to stress, pressure, or concern. People may be terrified of crowds, nervous about the job interview, and apprehensive about going alone, but they are not frightened. When these feelings occur, one should acknowledge them, tell them they are reasonable, and then go about the unfinished task at hand. Inner peace and meditation. Finding inner peace necessitates the practice of meditation. Meditation is more than just a form of relaxation. It is a disciplined way of living. People can reach the layers of their minds that are generally buried under their ordinary thoughts and memories. It is possible when they choose the meditational path as a stress reliever. One can cleanse his head off any trivial ideas and go straight to his subconscious mind to cope with whatever comes up. It can speed up his journey to inner peace by relaxing and vitalizing himself physically, emotionally, and psychologically, and reconnecting the spiritual goal. Self-acceptance. People may consider making a list of all the things they are reluctant to implement in their life. Then they can think about how they may work on addressing and resolving these concerns. As individuals become more self-conscious, they should add additional stuff to their list, since they will have more realizations about their existence and their capabilities to accomplish the task at hand. Some instances include being afraid of other human feelings, being unable to receive or offer compliments, being hesitant with affection, spending time in reclusion, climbing upstairs, etc. It's a good idea to take some time to think about issues. People should allow time for self-reflection on self-development. If people never have peaceful times to meditate and let whatever is in their minds to resurface, their minds will become quite occupied with unresolved thoughts. One should consider it as regular mental and spiritual maintenance, whether it's an hour a day a week, or a week a month, or a month a year. One must give oneself that gift to preserve overall health. Material possessions cannot provide true happiness, and people must continually remind themselves of this situation. Inner peace and calmness. Calmness refers to a mental state of tranquility devoid of agitation, restlessness, or mind disruption. It can also relate to a feeling of peacefulness or contentment. Calmness is most easily identified during a static condition for the average person, although it may also be observed during alert and attentive states. Some people may find that focusing their minds on something external, like learning, may be something internal, like breathing, is a way to relax for a considerable time. Calmness is a trait that can be established through psychotherapy or fostered through practice. It demands a trained human mind to remain calm amid a host of stimulation and potential distractions, particularly those that trigger emotions. Negative emotions are the most difficult things for someone trying to develop a peaceful mind to overcome. Devotional prayers, yoga practices, relaxation bouts, breathing exercises, and meditation are some of the drill downs that encourage and cater to the calmness of the mind. Mindfulness practice necessitates a high level of concentration. Human awareness will only be as strong as the human mind's ability to remain quiet and stable. The mirror of awareness will have an unsettled and bumpy surface if there is no peace, and it will be unable to portray things accurately. Peace is another term that is frequently used to describe calmness. A peaceful or tranquil mind causes the brain to create optimal hormones, which help the person maintain a static emotional condition and support excellent health in all aspects of life, including matrimony. Given the rise in crime and maladies across the globe, which are frequently the result of emotions that have gone out of control, many people believe it is useful to stay calm and inculcate it in all situations, particularly during traumatic scenarios such as the death of a family member or business collapse. It's an interesting paradox. If humans want inner peace, they must be aware of their inner self-talk, while still refusing to take things literally. And if people think they can achieve inner peace, if they can completely silence the inner voice, they should think again. People use drugs or alcohol to try to silence their inner self-talk. It is ineffective and has negative consequences. So they can experience actual inner calmness, but they have changed the definition. People understand that inner calmness isn't some blissful dreamland of ignorance. Inner peace is the ability to have an experience. People should observe the mass reaction, breathe normally and deeply, and do what they are doing. The determination to study this process gradually leads to a shift to inner peace. People don't receive total results right away. Rather, they train themselves to be able to explore small levels of inner calmness on a moment-by-moment basis. Peace is regarded as a paradigm of societal tolerance and harmony. It is widely used in a social context to refer to the absence of confrontation, like war, and the avoidance of fear of violence amongst individuals or communities. Through various kinds of peace treaties, world leaders have employed peace efforts and diplomacy to impose a type of behavioral restriction that has resulted in the formation of zonal peace embarking on economic progress. Reduced conflict, increased economic interactivity, and subsequently significant prosperity have often come from such behavioral constraints. Mental peace, such as peaceful thoughts and emotions, is less precisely defined, although it is frequently a prerequisite for achieving behavioral peace. A quiet inner disposition can occasionally lead to peaceful behavior. Some people believe that peace can be achieved by cultivating an inner calmness that is unaffected by the concerns of everyday life. The development of a peaceful emotional disposition for oneself and others might contribute to the resolution of otherwise seemingly conflicting opposing goals. Peace is not typically found in a state of euphoria. On the other hand, peace arrives when someone's mind is calm and content. The term peace comes from the Anglo-French paix and the Old French paix, indicating peace, harmony, tranquility, and concord. Paix is derived from the Latin word pax, which means peace, agreement, accord, covenants, calm, lack of antagonism, and equilibrium. This latter interpretation of peace can also apply to an individual's introspective perception or concept of herself or himself, like being at peace. as evidenced by European allusions dating back to around 1200. The early English phrase quiet also refers to peaceful, contemplative, and meditative orientations, to family or social interactions that avoid infighting and seek calmness. Religious doctrines frequently strive to identify and alleviate underlying human problems, such as tensions between and within individuals and civilizations. Peace was symbolized by the goddess Irene in ancient Greek-speaking regions, and as the goddess Pax in Latin-speaking territories. Ancient sculptures usually depicted her as a fully grown lady holding a horn of plenty and scepter, and occasionally a torch or olive leaves. Buddhists believe that after all suffering, peace can be achieved. All misery, they believe, is caused by desires, lust, worries, or misconceptions. Followers of the Gautam Buddha's path subscribe to a series of teachings known as the Four Noble Truths, a major principle in Buddhist philosophy, to end such misery and promote individual peace. An emblem of peace is often associated with pacifism. Pacifism is the categorical rejection of violence or war to resolve conflicts or gain a reconciliatory edge. Pacifism encompasses a wide range of viewpoints, from the belief that all international conflicts can and should be resolved through peaceful means. Anarchists and libertarians are two groups that sometimes reject the use of force by the government. Absolute pacifism condemns all forms of violence, including self-defense. Satyagraha, in this context, has become synonymous with peaceful living. Mohandas Gandhi had introduced Satyagraha, a philosophy and practice of peaceful protest. He used Satyagraha tactics in his battles for Indian independence and his previous struggles when he lived in South Africa.